Hey guys, welcome to the Black Republican Theory. My name is Terry, your host. I haven't done a show in a while because I've been working a lot and preparing for a lot of projects that I'm doing. But I actually do have some topics that I would like to cover. Before I get into these topics, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. So on today's show, I'm going to cover two things. One is a bit of pop culture, and one actually has to do with the economy. The bit of pop culture is that, Kim Kardashian was involved in yet another pump and dump, and this time Ray J wasn't involved. She was involved in a cryptocurrency pump and dump where essentially she promoted by ad on her Instagram a cryptocurrency, and she helped to inflate the price along with some other celebrities, but she was the first one to get her hand smacked on it. And so she was fined over $1 million, but also has to pay back the $260,000 in interest. And she's also barred from not using, but certainly in promoting cryptocurrency for 3 years. And so, when it comes to the stuff that, people like these, social media influencers, etc., promote, they actually have to be really careful. The reason why she was charged is because when you are promoting a security of any sort, you have to give a disclaimer that this is a paid advertisement. She gave the advertisement that she had hashtag ad. So technically she was giving a disclosure that it was an ad. However, she didn't say whether or not she was getting money from it, which would probably be go without saying that if she's promoting it as an ad, she must be getting some type of money or invested in it in some type of way. She's supposed to disclose that, and she did not. And so ultimately, that's why she was fined. So in addition to Kim Crackenpuss, and and I use that term loosely, being fined for that, there's also the more serious matter of OPEC. OPEC, which is I think is Organization of Petroleum and Energy Council, something like that, countries. But essentially, the top oil producers in the world, they have decided to collaborate, as of decades ago, and they will set, energy production guidelines or reduction guidelines, etc., for how much each country is going to produce. In this particular case, OPEC, Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, Russia, etc., they have decided they're going to cut back on oil production by at least 2 million barrels per day. Now, this is happening at the very same time that the EU, the European Union, has decided that they're going to cap Russian oil prices, cap prices on the oil that they're getting from Russia, or that they use from Russia, that is being used in the European Union countries. And they're saying, okay, well, because we're capping these prices, this should help our people and our economy. What it's going to have is actually an adverse effect. Whenever you add a price cap onto something, which theoretically should be a good idea, that's going to come as economic damage to other sectors of the economy. There's also going to push the price of that oil or that commodity or of that good up. Case in point, with rent caps, what happens is that you'll have a less incentive for investors and for people in the free market to actually provide this housing, etc. In that case, and what that does is that pushes the price up for all the other availability, or it forces the market to slow down production or slow down the creation of that good and the supply of that good, forcing the prices up. So when you compare those two things of OPEC in addition to the EU, You have to look at a time that may have been similar to this, and the only time that was at the fall of the Soviet Union. And the fall of the Soviet Union, which was about 15 different countries that decided to collaborate, be nation states as one. When the fall of the Soviet Union, that went from the Soviet Union, or former Soviet Union, that is, went from producing 10 million barrels of oil to about 6 million barrels of oil per day. Now, you got to understand that the world uses a lot of oil. I mean, people in the world will use well over 10 million barrels of oil each day for the businesses, our cars, everything, heating homes, everything that you can even imagine, and oil byproducts, including Vaseline. I mean, you got to think about it. It's called petroleum jelly. It's stuff that you're literally rubbing into your skin and lips. But anyways, let's get back to the point. What's going to happen is that it's going to force the price of these goods up. So there's actually a page that I encourage everyone to follow, and that is called Soldiers of Finance with Tyrone Keys. This is a free advertisement. Soldiers of Finance with Tyrone Keys. He is a licensed insurance broker, but he also has that sort of economic and financial knowledge that he's been trained in doing these things. He will tell you different ways to beat the market, not beat the market, but how to play by the rules and play color within the lines in terms of surviving the economic turmoil that we seem to constantly find ourselves in with these constant politicians and their missteps. Now, what's going to happen in addition to these oil crises and the price spikes that are going to happen is that we're facing food shortages, and we also see that there's going to be a large retaliation by the international community against Russia, and economic retaliation from countries that are affected by these oil slowdowns in production, slowdowns, such as China, such as India, even the American people are, they're revolting, they're rebelling in which ways, and this could be as simple as slowing down their spending. What's happening is that Russia has decided, for somewhat spiritual, somewhat, I guess, nationalistic reasons, that they're going to actually fight Western powers, okay? And they see the stuff happening in Ukraine as an extension of that fight, including fighting against Nazis, racists, and people involved in all sorts of, crime, right? And so what they're doing is annexing the land. They see this as a territorial fight, and for that reason, they've decided to continue this on. They're going to fight to the end. They're actually, news reports from the Washington Post was that Russia is actually mobilizing and moving around their nuclear capabilities. Now, that could be happening as they're losing ground in Ukraine, but this could also be a response or preparation to something. So we can't worry about the necessary, geopolitical, effects of that. We know, I believe that American and international resolve is stronger than, these egos. But the next thing is that I think that the Russians are actually going to come and sit at the table with another major power. The U.S. is definitely going to be there. The EU is definitely going to be there. And they're going to tell Ukraine and Russia that they need to figure this thing out. They need to resolve their problems. I'm actually shocked that the Americans have not done so thus far. And I definitely think that if we had different national leadership, that this would have already happened. And it may just take an outside party to do it. An outside party that relies on both economies, such as India. India supplies a lot of the technology and the brain power that the American needs, but also to power the Indian economy, they require a lot of oil that Russia has. So far, that oil has been going to China, it has been going to India, It has not been going to the United States as much, but Russia supplies about 10% of the international community's oil supply. So it is foreseeable that if something happens in Russia, a hiccup there could be the flu anywhere else, okay, in terms of the oil production and energy production. And for some of these more fragile economies, even a small offset, it can throw prices out of whack. We need to solve this crisis immediately, and we need to be Americans for peace. And quite frankly, I believe in American resolve of peace through strength, which is a phrase once said by Condoleezza Rice, whom I believe is one of the most inspirational Republicans of my lifetime. And so that being said, folks, this has been the Black Republican Theory. I appreciate you tuning in. I'm on the move doing this show often while I'm going in between appointments, etc. All right, thank you guys. Bye.